Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in to CodeBlaque Facts. You guys know that I love you and appreciate you. I will not hold you long tonight, you guys. I just want to jump on here really quickly and give some commentary about the Jeannie Mai and Jeezy situation. More so, Jeannie Mai and her comments that she made about submit. Okay. So before I get into my commentary, I just kind of want to refresh you guys' memory on what she said, and then we will go from there. So stay tuned.
I want to give you guys the actual definition of submit, and then I want to explain how I see this. So the actual definition of submit is to accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. So I'm going to say right here that I, Jeannie Mai, going into my marriage, I want to submit to my man. Let me explain. When I hear this definition, like you just said, Adrian, submitting has a negative connotation. It means that you are less important, you are lower than that person that you're submitting to. It usually can be like, referenced as somebody who works lower than you, and that's not what I'm referring to here. But what I've really learned in my life for my definition of marriage, I'm not saying what I want works for everybody. I'm saying for me, I'm a very dominant woman. I own my business. I lead my teams. I played my own manager, my own publicist, my own lawyer when I didn't have money to have those people. So I make the decisions in my life. When I come home, I like the idea that my man leads us. That doesn't mean that in this case Jay makes all the decisions for us. That doesn't mean that when he says, "How are we spending our money?" or "Where are we moving?" that I just say, "Yes, sir," or "Yes, your honor." Like, it's not that. It's a, you know what? I think that we would do best here. I want to do this, and he takes the decision. He formulates it with our overall vision, and he leads us. And I like to submit to that. I don't want to lead in our household and in our marriage. I want him to lead, and I have all the essence of what I bring as a wife to make that decision, but that I love that my husband will be the man that leads. I like that structure in a marriage, and I look forward to that because, girls, it's tiring being the boss of me. It's tiring leading all the time.
It is. All the time. It's tired to be the boss all the time. Yeah.
Okay, so I know you guys, I know that I am a week or two late on this, but I did want to give some commentary that I believe that nobody is saying or nobody's bringing up. And so I thought, you know what, I should provide a different perspective. So let me make this clear, you guys. I don't have an issue with what Jeannie Mai said. I actually agree with a lot of what she said. I totally and full-heartedly agree with a lot of what she said. But let me tell you in particular what I agree with. And, well, let me make this statement. So I don't have an issue with what was said. And I think most people that I have come across don't have an issue with what she said. It's not the issue is not with submitting to the right man, okay? That's not the issue. I think the issue from my perspective is how there are a lot of men, particularly black men, and you guys know on this channel we talk about black everything. So, anytime I'm referring to people, I'm 9 times out of 10 referring to us, black people, black men, black women. So I just want to say that because I do get people talking about, you always addressing black men or black women or whatever. And it's like, okay, this is a black channel. Like, that's the audience to whom I am speaking to. So back to what I was saying. So you had a lot of black men who took what Jeannie Mai said about submitting and basically used her as, like the prototype for submission and a woman who should submit, and why, Jeannie Mai got the ring because, she's willing to submit. And then even went as far as to use the race in which she comes from. And, so basically just putting another group of women above black women. And now let me say this. In all groups, okay, all groups, all groups have their strengths and all groups have their weaknesses. That goes for the men and the women in all groups. Okay, there's a lot to be said about the Asian community, their women and their men, just like especially if you are American, right? If you are Asian American, okay, there's a lot to be said about that because again, a lot of people when they come here and they migrate here, a lot of the culture goes out the window, and a lot of the westernized views and concepts and beliefs are taken on. Not all, but a lot. And this is why you see a lot of people who, get ingrained into a westernized mindset, specifically when they look at Black people. And when they have been ingratiated into European culture, like Jeannie Mai has, because again, Jeannie Mai was married to a white man. And you can't be married to a white man without being engraved in his culture, just like he can't be married to her without somewhat, seeing the inside of her culture and, different things that they do and learning from that. So again, she had to take on a certain mindset just to even be with that white man. Okay, just to even be with him, just for him to even be married to her, she had to have a certain mindset. So just keep that in mind. That's not a coincidence. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out. But getting back to what I was saying, you got a lot of men using Jeannie Mai as the prototype. I say that because if it was a Black woman like Jeannie Mai who was 41, who was unmarried, right, with no children, who had previously been married to a white man for 10 years, that Black woman would be called all types of names and would be told that, she actually should not even date Jeezy or give Jeezy the time of day because Jeezy would be considered a quote unquote thug. Jeezy would be considered the guy that you stay away from, the guy that has the multiple children with different women. So, because she's an Asian woman, and because because a lot of these guys are trying to make a point, basically using any and everybody to try to make a point. Like, I could see if it was, I don't know, somebody a lot better. But no, because the thing about it is if you flip the skin color, it would be a totally different response. Because women like Jeannie, and when I say like Jeannie, I mean the same age, under the same circumstances, 41 years old, previously married to a white man, no kids. They would be telling that Black woman how she was a bed wench, she participated in slave sex, and that's probably why her marriage didn't work out. They would be telling her she's stupid for going from a bed wench to dating a quote unquote thug. I mean, they would be telling her all of that. And, if she was a Black woman. And see, that's the issue that I have. Like, the issue is not with what was said. Because, like I said, what was said, who can't agree with that? I mean, she was very clear on why she wanted to submit to her man and why submitting to her man would work in their relationship. And as from one woman to the next, like just without the race or anything like that, from one woman to the next, I can respect that. Because I can respect a woman who, is going into a relationship or a marriage wanting to, start off fresh and do right. Like, I can respect that. But the thing about it is that freshness and restarting is only for non-Black women. Because Black women don't get to refresh and restart. I just want to point that out because I see a lot of guys, particularly Black men, when they talk about has-been women, literally Jeannie Mai fits the prototype. Like, she actually fits the prototype. She's older, she's childless, she's been married before, and I keep saying that because again, what do you hear? If you went on here right now to YouTube right now and you typed in submission or black, not even black, just a women submitting or something like that, you would see all types of videos about how, black women are not submitting, and, how whatever. Like, you would see all types of videos. And then you would see, oh, well, if she's 40 something years old, it's too late for her, throw her away. But then Jeannie's not to be thrown away. Jeannie's the prototype now. Jeannie is, like, really? Like, really? And, even when she was speaking, you guys heard her where she said she's a very dominant person. And as a woman, like, I get what she's saying. It's nothing really to be read into. Because when she made that comment, she made the comment in the context of her job. Like, she's like, I'm very dominant. I'm the manager. I'm this and I'm that. She named off all these different hats that she has to wear in her career. And when you're a woman and you're out here working and you're getting real money and you're making boss moves, yeah, you are the boss. Like, yeah, you are, in control of those things. And that's a good thing and that's a bad thing. The bad thing is, some women do take that home and, it goes too far in their relationships, right? But again, from one woman to the next, I can see, okay, why Jeannie would say that. Looking at her past, I don't know what happened with her ex-husband. I just know they were married for 10 years. They never had any kids. I think, that was an issue. But other than that, I don't really know what the issue was. And honestly, I don't care. My point in bringing that up is that, again, she's a non-white woman. So if she was married to a white man, I mean, under all, um, most to all circumstances, she would be considered, quote unquote, what black men would call a bad wench. And what black men would say, she, was bad wenching it up, and that she doesn't get the run back to black male society to be saved. But the thing about it is that's only reserved for black women, and see, that's really, really tragic. And you guys, another thing that I wanted to talk about is, when it comes to um representation, right? I believe that a lot of non-black women know how to play the game, okay? And I call it a game because they know how to, make sure that they are represented the way that they've always been represented. For example, white women, they're going to always attempt to, be the archetype for femininity, beauty, um, you know, uh, sweetness, things like that. You have the Latino woman. She is, considered the spicy Latina. So, that woman is going to play into that part and somewhat live up to it, right? Or the sizzling Latina or whatever. So there are different things that different groups of women know that they're known for and play into. And one of those things, as it is attributed to Asian women, is them being very submissive. And I think that if you guys go back and look at the video, she was one of four talking about submission. She was one of four. There was a black woman, there was a Latino woman, and then there was another black woman who, I can't even think of her name, but she used to be married to a white man. And then you had the Asian lady, and she, I think, used that moment, okay? Because the cameras are rolling, right? We know that she has it in her to not be submissive because she already spoke about how dominant she was, right? And being masculine and exuding, a dominance in a relationship, particularly with the man. It can only be one alpha, okay? It can only be one, that's just not going to work. Everybody knows that. That's not even a conversation that has to be had. But I think that she, because if you guys play the video back, she actually had the actual description of submission. So she didn't, you guys can't tell me she just pulled that, like she literally read it off of a card. Okay, like one of those, talk show cards. She read it off. So that tells you right there, it gave her time to think about how she wanted to respond. She knew the cameras was rolling. Okay, she's going to make sure she upkeeps the imagery and the how her women in her group are seen. And I think that's what she did. She played the game. She played it up. And she said exactly what would be expected of her to say, right? So that's something that I think that, just all groups, but more specifically Black women in particular, we have to learn too. Like, we got to learn when to cut it on and when to cut it off. And when I say cut it on, I'm not saying lie, because I don't think she lied. I think she truly wants to do that because, I mean, no one gets married to go into a marriage with just a bunch of bad, I'm going to do what I want type. Nobody does that. So I believe her in terms of like what she said. Like, I believe that's something that she really wants. But we have to learn how to do that because there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time to be submissive and play, and lean into that role. And there's a time, not to. Like when I'm at work and I'm dealing with, and I'm in a position where I have to discipline someone or, I have to take authority or whatever, I'm going to do that. And in doing that, sometimes you're stepping into what somewhat of a masculine role. And then depending on what, your position in your workplace, in your career, that's a must. Because you can't, you just can't let people walk over you. And so it's about, learning when to turn it on and turn it off. And then also it's about learning about playing into a certain imagery in a certain like way that you want to be represented, because you guys have to remember, and I'm a big advocate of this. When they see one Black woman, they see all Black women. So when one Black woman is doing something crazy or whatever, they contribute that's how all Black women are. And that's just how the stereotypes work. We don't have it like other groups of women. Like if one Asian woman is acting crazy, it's just that one Asian woman. They don't see all Asian women as acting crazy. When one white woman is acting crazy, they don't say, oh, all white women are like that. It's that one woman. But let it be a Black person. That goes for men and women. If one Black person is acting up, all Black people are acting up. So I think we have to learn how to play into that. Like when we're out in public or we're speaking or whatever, like, yeah, play the game. Now, when you get behind closed doors, you do what you want. And I think that's what we've seen with Jeannie Mai or anybody in television and entertainment for that matter. But I think she played into that. I think that she took this moment to say, you know what, I'm going to make sure that, Asian women are always seen as feminine and always seen as submissive. And she did exactly that. While, you had Lonnie talking about some, I get it, but don't bring it on the outside. And then you had the Latino talking about, how it related to the Bible and how that was old or whatever. And she, equated that to her relationship. And then you had the other Black lady saying, oh, no, that's old, that's outdated. It wouldn't work for her. So she wanted to be the only one who, responded the way that she did. So I think she played into that. And remember, before Jeannie Mai got with Jeannie Mai who like nobody really knew her like that. I mean, yeah, if you were a female and you watched the show The Real, maybe, but I mean, it wasn't until she got with Jeezy, which they know that in the industry, people know certain couples get together and it's just they know that both of them have been in the game long enough. They've been in entertainment, television, all of that long enough to know how it works, especially in today's time where you have everything, social media. You can put something on social media and it can go viral within a matter of 2 minutes. Okay, so they know that. So I think they kind of played into all of that, if you ask me. Um, And what else? I think that's all I had to say, you guys. Think that's all I had to say. I wanted to bring up one more point, and that is, so I took some time and I kind of went back and I, looked at Jeannie Mai and some of her old pictures with her husband, the man that she was married to for those 10 years. And, I started to realize that, we have a different Jeannie here. We have a different Jeannie. And, you know, you can't tell me, nobody can tell me that she was with this white man for 10 years. She looked differently. She dressed differently. She had a whole different type of vibe, right? And then now you're so soulful. I mean, like, mm, yeah. So again, I think that, and see, that's a whole nother conversation. But I just wanted to bring that up because you can't tell me that you're laid up with a white man for 10 years and, you don't take on some of his views and not just laid up. Let me reframe some because it wasn't just that she was laid up. She was married. So I will be respectful and say she was married to that man. Okay, so let me take the laid up part back. But she was married to that man for 10 years, and you can't tell me that she didn't take on some of his, whatevers, right? I mean, you could just look at the relationship and tell it was a totally different relationship than it is with her and Jeezy. And that's just from the outside looking in. And again, that's just from the way she dressed, even the way she, spoke. Um, just all of that. Like even the way she took pictures, like was just different. So I think that again, that is to be included in this overall situation. But that's pretty much all I have, you guys. Alrighty, guys. So before I let you guys go, I do want to invite you, if you are a new listener, please do not hesitate to go ahead and push that like button and also push the subscribe button. I am trying to grow my channel. And I would like to put out more content. So I would love to have you guys tuning in with me. Yeah, but thank you guys for tuning in. You guys know I love you. I appreciate you guys. And until next time, you guys have a good one. Bye.